Okay, so what if I told you there was a secret so big it could potentially shake the very foundations of global power? Well, on January 30th, 2026, the U.S. Department of Justice basically unlocked that secret, releasing a mountain of files all connected to the infamous Jeffrey Epstein.
And we're not talking about just a small leak here. This was an absolute flood. We're looking at over 3 million pages of documents, internal docs, private emails, flight logs, not to mention thousands of images, giving us this unprecedented look inside the world of a man whose friends were literally the most powerful people on the planet. Make no mistake, these files are an absolute bombshell. They're packed with serious allegations that reach all the way to the top. We're talking from the boardrooms of Silicon Valley to the halls of Buckingham Palace and even the corridors of Washington, D.C. So what's actually in these files? In this explainer, we're going to cut through all the noise and focus on what the evidence from this massive DOJ release really tells us, and we're starting with some of the most explosive claims.
All right, let's open our first case file. We're diving into the world of tech, where two of the biggest names you can think of, Elon Musk and Bill Gates, find themselves wrapped up in a story that really seems to clash with the public image they've built so carefully.
So, on the record, Elon Musk has been incredibly firm about this. He said in a Vanity Fair interview back in 2019 that he turned down invitations to Epstein's notorious private island again and again, a place that, has become a symbol for pure depravity. But then you look at the files that were just released, and yeah, they seem to tell a completely different story. They include these email exchanges where Musk is allegedly not only planning a visit to the island with his wife at the time, but he even asks about when the wildest party is happening. And here's where the contradiction gets really interesting. After Musk supposedly suggested a date to visit, the files show an email from Epstein himself, calling the whole thing off because he had a scheduling conflict in New York. So, according to these documents, it was actually Epstein who canceled, not Musk.
Okay, moving from one tech titan to another, our next case file is all about Bill Gates. And the allegations in here, which come from Epstein's own unsent draft emails, are, well, they're deeply disturbing. Now, this is really important to understand. These are claims from Epstein's draft emails, so words he typed up but apparently never actually sent. In these drafts, he claims that Gates got an STD from an affair and came to him for help to secretly get antibiotics for his then-wife, Melinda. So on one side, you have a spokesperson for Bill Gates who has flat out denied these claims, calling them completely false and just absurd. But then his ex-wife, Melinda French Gates, has basically put it all on him, saying in public that her ex-husband is the one who needs to answer for his relationship with Epstein.
And you really have to look at the timeline here because it's critical. The documents show Gates' relationship with Epstein was happening between 2012 and 2014. Now remember, this is years after Epstein was convicted as a sex offender in 2008, something that was very public knowledge.
But the allegations go way beyond personal stuff. The files suggest that from 2011 to 2014, a full 6 years before COVID hit, Gates and Epstein were working together on what's described as a global pandemic simulation. According to these docs, Epstein was advising Gates on how to make global health a profitable business, even suggesting a fund to control vaccine production. There's even a journal entry, supposedly from Epstein, that claims Gates thought a global respiratory virus would be the ultimate reset for his foundation's influence. And look, this isn't just about the new money tech giants. The files also point fingers at the old guard, the established power. We're talking high-level politicians and royalty. Just take the case of Peter Mandelson, who was a really high-ranking politician in the UK. The documents allege he was systematically leaking incredibly sensitive government secrets directly to Epstein. And this wasn't just idle gossip. We're talking about confidential memos meant only for the Prime Minister and, get this, market-moving info about a massive €500 billion European bailouts. That's information that could be worth a fortune to the right people. Then you have former President Bill Clinton. His name pops up a lot. Flight logs confirm he took at least 16 trips on Epstein's private jet between 2002 and 2003. Now, his team has always said that all ties were completely cut after that, but the files show a pretty glaring contradiction. A whole decade later, in 2013, Epstein's convicted partner and accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, was an honored guest at an event for the Clinton Global Initiative. And this is where things start to get really weird. The investigation uncovered some bizarre and frankly sinister details about Epstein's private island and how his whole network operated. You know how for years people have been talking online about conspiracy theories and secret code words? Well, it turns out they were onto something. These files confirm the existence of a code dictionary that Epstein's network used. And in a really chilling moment, it confirms the Pizzagate theory, stating that the term cheese pizza was allegedly used as a code word for child pornography. But hold on, because the revelations do not stop there. This leads us to what is maybe the most shocking, most far-reaching theory to come out of this entire thing. Was Jeffrey Epstein the anonymous, almost mythical creator of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto? Now, let's be clear, the evidence here is circumstantial, but when you lay it all out, it is compelling. Encrypted messages sent at the exact same time Bitcoin's founding white paper was published have been traced back to Epstein's servers. We also learned he secretly funded MIT's Bitcoin initiative, and then there's this email supposedly from him that reads, "The new digital ledger is ready. It will make banks obsolete and our transactions invisible." The files suggest he was planning to use this new currency to get untraceable blackmail payments.
So, after all of this, after 3 million pages of bombshell allegations, what has actually happened? What's the tangible result? Where is the accountability?
The answer? Zero. A big fat zero. Despite the sheer volume of information and how severe these claims are, the Deputy Attorney General has gone on record saying there is not enough evidence in these files to prosecute anyone new.
And that has left the survivors, and frankly, a lot of us, asking a really simple but powerful question. In a joint statement, 19 of Epstein's survivors just asked, why don't we get justice? Why aren't the powerful people named in these documents being held accountable?
And that leaves us with this final, chilling question. With zero new prosecutions, it really seems like the system that allowed Epstein to operate in the first place continues to protect the powerful. The evidence is out in the open, but the scales of justice, they still seem unbalanced. So the question isn't what's in the files anymore, it's what will it actually take for there to be true accountability?